Housekeeping. Right, we had some tweets from a while ago.
Yep.
Tom Hogan.
Some time ago.
Tom Hogan tweeted us on August 26. Did you go to the canal?
We walked past the canal.
Dan Palmer responded, "Yep," and the gallery. Do you want to talk about the gallery, Jack?
The gallery was not great.
What was wrong with it?
I am not a huge fan of art. I don't really get it. I mean, I like my type of art is like H.R. Geiger, like fucking weird alien creatures being birthed out
penises.
of definitely human
penises.
vaginas. And
Yeah,
penises.
penises.
Yeah.
That's
Nothing
what
but penis. That's your favourite art.
Yeah, it's all penises and vaginas. That's my type of art.
Yeah.
Woking Gallery is much more look at this statue of a person, and I hate that.
I just felt bad for when I put my foot in it in that little room.
Yeah. You maybe insulted some children's artwork in front of a poor little old lady who definitely didn't want you to do that.
No. To be fair, I tried to save some face.
You said that one of the bits was good. The bit that you said was good was probably the worst one in there.
Yeah. No, but honestly...
And then you insisted on calling a bunch of shields plates.
Yeah, they had like a load of plates on the wall that just looked shit. And I was like, oh, look at that. That's terrible. That's not art. And then I realised that it was children that had done it.
Yeah.
And I did feel quite bad, to be fair.
I love that you
good.
were
You're
like
learning
you tried to save face, and then like on your show like bashing them harder than ever. Like,
Oh yeah, like,
I mean, like I did try to say that the worst one there was good, and then but I mean like it wasn't, and the one I said was terrible was worse than I ever could have announced. Like tried to make clear.
Yeah, like
in person.
But, if you could have seen it, right, you would just be like, what the shit is this? It was ridiculous. And the thing is, there's like a whole room dedicated to it with like mood lighting and everything. And
oh wow.
And the only thing that like when I cottoned on This Is Kids is because they had this like open book and the font was in Comic Sans. And that was it. I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, this is children's. And then I actually read the words in the book and was like, oh, it's all about how this class had done a project on some bullshit. But what I don't get is why they had this little old lady sat there, right? Because one, no one's going to steal that art, I can guarantee. And
no, but people might fuck it up, Liam. They've got to have people there to make sure people aren't fucking with stuff.
Right, but okay, here's all I'm saying is it's not really art, so it doesn't really matter.
They have to put her there to defend the children's honour from assholes like Liam.
Well, that's the thing, right? Because she did a shit job of that as well, because I kind of feel like, when I said this isn't very good, she didn't argue, which kind of makes me think she probably knows. She's probably in agreement.
I mean, she has to.
Yeah, she's sitting there all day just looking at that shit.
Yeah.
She was definitely like, nah, he's right.
Exactly.
These children have no future in art.
I mean, that's not fair. I think, you know, maybe one of them has vision, but the rest were terrible.
The best plate.
Yeah. Amanda tweeted us saying...
Yep.
So it was difficult for me to do, but I paused the episode at Culture Swap, and I'll come back to that part after I watch Princess Mononoke, and I'm not livid at Jack, just disappointed.
That's fine.
Well, no, because then when I tweeted her saying that's pretty much how I constantly feel, she said, haha, oh no, now I feel bad for Jack, especially since this was his birthday episode. I'll change my mood to just mildly inconvenienced.
There we go. That is how I've always managed to skate through in life, is you make people feel like they're disappointed at you, and then you play the sympathy card, and then they feel bad.
See, this ties into what could be a really good mumblecore film, because that's kind of manipulative.
Yeah, there you go, it works.
Yeah.
It's got nuance, and it's baked into the character for Jake.
Perfect. See, and this is why we need those writing expertise. Sam Pryor tweeted, saying, "Why did you ask Dan Palmer on and not me at Roden Daniel or at My Pocket Journal?" This was about the Game of Thrones special we recorded.
Yep, and I blamed you for it.
Yeah, and I said I didn't know you guys had watched because why the fuck would I know what your friends had been doing with their lives?
Wow, shows how much you care about me, Liam.
Yeah, it does perfectly. And then we had a question from Jason.
Yes, of course.
Who was on the show previously, and he says, "How does Lee feel being sloppy seconds? Ha 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 ha."
pretty good, really. I mean, again, I forgot to address it this time when we started the episode, but at the start of the last time we recorded, I did immediately apologize for what was a joke email in Jason's episode that got taken wildly out of context. When I said, like, what the fuck did Jason getting invited to the show and me not getting invited was to try and trip him up on air because he hadn't addressed it to me in the first place, but I genuinely didn't get a shit. But it sounded so real when you read it out that it sounded like I was genuinely hard done by. And
I mean, the thing is, Lee, you saying this now is exactly what someone would say if they really had their feelings hurt. So, you know.
And it would also explain why you sabotaged the show that we previously recorded by losing.
This is all just your revenge.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what it is.
I am not over it.
You wanted to come on twice.
Even when I get that sloppy seconds, it was like a slap in the face. I now have to be my own sloppy seconds.
Yeah.
Then I'm comfortable because then I'm both.
I'll read that one out later. So Hipster Pop Geek said, "How about Persona 5? How's that game?"
Oh yes, you know, in the space between the last time I talked about it and this time, I beat it.
Hey!
Yay! And now I'm in that post-Persona depression where I don't really know what I want to do with my life, and I kind of feel like I should maybe focus on, you know, actually furthering my career or
why would you
my
do
life
that?
Together. I know, when I could play it all over again for trophies.
Well, because when we spoke about this last time, because you kind of advised for someone like me who likes the trophy hunting, you said this maybe isn't a good game to go for because the trophies are a bit of a nightmare.
Yeah, it's time consuming and you can miss a lot of them and there's like no way of going back, which is exactly what happened to me. And my advice at the time for you was I would say do it if for someone who doesn't care about like who can still enjoy a story while also kind of keeping in mind what things you should be doing to get the trophies at the same time. There are guides that don't overly explain why you're doing it, but point you in the right direction and give you the right options of how to make the best use of your time during the game.
Yeah.
I didn't do that for whatever reason. And I worked my ass off trying to get this one that basically you either know by like the end of the game whether you got it or not. And I didn't get it. And I basically had put in like 50 hours of my time trying to piece together this this build up to a trophy that I ultimately didn't get. And I mean, I was so angry, and it actually ruined for me a part of trying to enjoy the finale because I was so mad at having missed a deadline to a trophy that I was just like, I need to take a break from this for a while and just piece myself together because that was a lot of wasted time. And I want people not to have that experience. And so I would say if you're the kind of person who cares about trophies, the guide. Do the guide thing. I should take my own advice and do the guide thing. If you're the kind of person that doesn't care about trophies, don't give a shit. You don't need them. There are plenty of ways to enjoy this game without trophies. In fact, that's what I had to remind myself of because the ending to the game was really good, and I had to be like, I'm doing this for the game. I'm doing this for the game.
Yeah.
Zone in on the game, but I was still really not quite over the fact that I like really fucked up somehow along the line. And now it's kind of like, do I play it again and waste like 70 more hours of my life? It took me 100 hours to beat this fucking game.
Ooh, wow.
And I mean, if I do it on fast forward, I'd say I'd still only be at like 70 hours, maybe 60, doing a second run. And I'm just like, I can't do that. I can't justify that ever.
That's a long time.
I'm going to have to do this maybe like a year from now when I'm less angry about it. But I mean, it's still an amazing game. I don't think it was as good as Persona 4 because I cared more about the characters and the story was just a little neater. But the actual overall metaphor of the fifth one about like society and how basically we all want the easy way out, and that's why we like vote for shit political leaders. And why we put our trust in people who basically have as much experience living as we do. It's great. It's got a lot of great material there, and it culminates in a really, really fantastic ending that really kind of gets taken away when you end up playing for trophies.
Yeah.
But the fourth one is a far smaller affair. It's more about like how rumors affect people's lives, how like the rumor train can upend a person's career and life, and basically, and it's a murder mystery setup, which the fifth one kind of emulates in a different direction and does well, and the twists in it are good, but the fourth one twists are better and more interesting because you care more about the characters, all of them, and not just like some of them.
Okay. See, I'm surprised that Jack's been so quiet throughout all of that, because if I'd have been saying how upset I was at missing the trophies and stuff, I'd have had a huge lecture about how I was playing games wrong.
No, but Lee also said he's not going to immediately jump back into the game to play it. Like, Lee's leaving it time because he's experienced the story. Like,
Yeah, come on, let's justify
the issue I have
this.
with you, Liam. The issue I have, Liam, is not that you are trophy mad. I don't mind if you play games for the trophies. I only have issue. It's like if you're playing like Mass Effect, right? To get some of those trophies, I assume I haven't, because I don't care. I've never seen what the trophies are. But you would have to like play the story a certain way and get a certain outcome,
which defeats the purpose.
Yeah, which especially for a game like Mass Effect, which is so story driven. Like I've said before, I think on the show, I finished the Mass Effect trilogy years ago, and I really wanted to play again and go back because I was like, it's such a good series. I just want to play it again. And I tried to start the first one, and I had this moment where I was like, I've had this story, and I can't play it a different way because to me that was the story that like got built, and I was so attached to certain characters. Like I was like, I'll romance a different character in the first one. And then I was like, I don't want to do that because I've built that character with Shepard.
Yeah,
like,
it's all
they've
connected.
had that relationship.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. That's how I play games. Is for me, it's the story that you get out of it is the important thing.
But what about the sweet gamer cred?
I don't mind. My
get
gamer
for
cred's
trophies?
torn to shit. Everyone that listens to this show now knows that I'm like a magpie with games. Like, me completing a game is a rarity. Like, a new game comes along and I'm like, oh, I want that. It's so new and shiny.
I'm glad that you clarified the magpie metaphor there as you want the next shiniest things, and not that magpies were inherently rare.
Whereas I think that's the difference. I feel like if I've put a certain amount of time into a game, I'm gonna finish it, because otherwise not finishing it to me almost feels like I've wasted the time I've already put into it.
Yeah.
Which is why I like doggedly stuck with The Witcher 3 for so damn long.
Did you know, though, that is actually called the sunk costs fallacy, and it is a naturally flawed way to think? It's the way we naturally think, but it is also incorrect. It's the idea that you've already invested time and money into something, so you should carry on.
Yeah, obviously.
It's entirely correct.
Fundamentally a flawed way of treating things.
It's like me going, well, I'm saving money if I get a 5 for 30. That's obviously flawed. Yeah. So, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all that that's the way my brain works.
Yeah, it continues to work in all aspects of life. It's incredible.
Yeah. But the thing is, my brain is very stubborn.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound really sets it up, you know. But, you know, a penny is so closer to no penny.
Yeah.
This actually brings us sort of quite nicely, this little bit of conversation, Liam. You've reminded me, because I assumed we'd done it, but we've lost it.
Yeah.
So let's go for the Liam's DVD tally, as I've called it.
Okay. Well,
I have the total from last time.
What it was before.
Yeah, so I've got the total from the last recording.
Okay, because I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, so I'll just update everyone.
Yeah, sure.
So Liam last week, or the week and a bit ago, had actually made progress. He was down 3 films, so that's
what was the number?
Currently, the current number of films you have is 1120, Liam.
Okay.
So that's, you know,
you say current, but that's current for when we recorded last, which was a weekend.
Oh yeah, because I am aware that you've had a delivery, I believe, since then.
Yeah.
So I can't wait till we record the next episode and I get to update this total, and I'm assuming it's not going to be a good thing.
No, but here's the thing. I've made a commitment now. Well, not well, maybe commitment's one, but I've made a decision, shall we say.
Okay.
Right.
So the reason why this number was fluctuating so wildly is, are you aware, Lee, of this label of film called Arrow Video?
Yeah, right. Are they like discount films, or?
No, they do like cult and horror and exploitation type films.
Oh yes, that's it. Yeah, that's right. The kind of B movie.
Yeah. So I basically had a complete collection of those, right? Which is like probably something close to 300 films.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I'd watched some of them, don't get me wrong, but I was trying to keep up with that collection. So anytime they released a new film, I would have to buy it. And that's why I've ended up getting so many films added to my list. Is in
That you'll never watch.
Exactly. In the last week or so, I had 6 films added to the list that were just Abo Video films. And I had a really good weekend where I'd watched like 5 films. And it was so annoying. I was like, I've got 6 films arrived and I have very little desire to actually watch any of them. It's just because I want this collection to remain complete. So I've decided, fuck it, I'm going to stop collecting them.
Wow. That's a big step.
I know.
I mean, that's like rehabilitation.
I know. I'm really proud of myself. I think it's a very grown-up decision to make. And I'm hoping now that number's just going to go all the way down.
Well, we'll see.
I mean, if you were looking at the collection like a lost cause and you're not even remotely interested in watching it, you could just give them away.
I'm tempted to start selling some things.
Yeah, I mean that would like dramatically decrease the number.
Yeah,
and then you'd be beyond your target to your previous original target of what was it, 1,000?
Yeah,
yeah, that was the initial target.
Yeah, the OG target.
Here's the thing: if we could get Filmstruck in the UK, I think I would be so much happier with stopping collecting Blu-rays and stuff.
Right.
Because between I have an Amazon Prime account and Netflix account, if I could get Filmstruck as well, I feel like I would have the majority of my film needs covered, and I would just have to pick up a film here or there, like an obscure mumblecore or something that won't be on any of those platforms.
Right.
But for some reason, we can't get Filmstruck in the UK, and I'm looking into if there's any way I can get like Apple TV and basically code it to like an American IP or something. I don't understand technology, which is why this is very difficult for me.
I'm sure it's doable.
I can help you on that limb.
Cool.
We'll talk.
Yeah. Because if I can do that, basically that gives me access to the Criterion collection, and that's fuckloads of films that I currently, am buying that I wouldn't need to.
Yeah, fuck. There's so much progress since the last time we talked about this, because it seemed like a dead end.
Well, here's the other thing.
It seemed like the jig was up.
we also, we're looking to make that move. It's expensive getting near London. I don't think I can justify having such a ridiculously 2,000 strong film collection when we're trying to downsize.
Yeah, that makes sense. So this kind of all falls in quite neatly.
Yeah.
As has become tradition on Nerd on Nerd, I'd like to ask you, Lee, what your opinion on Liam having 1,120 films in his to-watch pile. I'd like to ask what your thoughts on that are.
See, there's a half and half brain. One half is like, oh my god, how could you ever let this happen? And the other is kind of jealous, just for the sheer amount of choice that you would have. If I've gone to my uncle's caravan and he has a wall of just DVDs, most of which I've never seen. And I'm like, oh yeah, man, that's the life. Go take yourself out to the country for a couple of days and just back to back things you don't own.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. But then if I had that wall of films in my life, I would kind of have to reconsider what I'm doing with my life. And so in that I extend that to Liam, where you in your position, I would be shaking and cowering under my own giant DVD piled hubris, wondering where it all went wrong.
Well, the other thing is while it is nice having a lot of choice, it does mean that in the past I've spent an hour just trying to decide what to watch.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
Yeah, because then it gets to a point where I go, it's too late now to watch a film. I'll just play some PlayStation, and it's just an hour.
Have you had that before, Liam?
Yeah,
where you've sat down and you've had to just go, I've left it too long.
Yeah.
See, that's bad.
I did that last week on Netflix. It's just terrible. But I mean, then I don't have a fucking 1,000 pile films to watch, which makes it worse. Put some pressure on it.
But maybe I'll start getting that number down now.
The
thing is, I'm looking forward to maybe reducing my collection, but I still feel a bit uncomfortable about. I don't mind selling a film I've seen before. I don't know how I feel about selling a film that I haven't yet watched, because then it feels like the whole act of buying it was just absolutely redundant.
Yeah.
So it might be I have to start selling them as I watch them, something like that.
Yeah. I mean, also the act of buying them and never watching them is in itself an inherently redundant act anyway.
Yeah,
so
but
maybe there's no getting around that.
But who's to say that they'll never be watched? Because I cannot predict what the future may hold.
I can use statistical analysis on this number, and I can tell you that you are not going to watch these films.
I don't know if that's necessarily true, quite frankly.
1091, 1085, 1086, 1103, 1096, 1123, 1120. The number increases, Liam. No matter how many times you try and drop it, the number increases.
But I'm still. It's not like the number's just increasing and I'm not watching things. It's just the what I'm acquiring is currently beating out the amount I'm watching, so the number is increasing. That's the issue.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying, Liam, is if we take the data set we have, which is the current list, it is statistically trending upwards. So you could reasonably make the assumption that you would never watch it. I'm not saying you can't, because you're making changes and you're trying. But with that list that we have, at the moment, the prediction would have to be that it's going to increase.
Well, we'll just have to reassess it by the end of the year, won't we?
I mean, genuinely, this thing started as like a sort of joke, and now I genuinely sort of hope that it helps you. Like, I think it would be good for you to get that number down.
The issue is, right, as soon as you say that, the way my brain works, it goes, no, I just want to buy more films now just to shut you up.
But that's fine, because that's also a positive for me, because I've got the same, like, half-brain thing that Lee was saying. Like, half of me is like, I want to help Liam, maybe getting that number down would help him, and the other half is like, this is hilarious that he can't do it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I just like owning films, you know? Like, I like...
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, people have worked hard to make these films. They deserve a bit of my money for it.
But
if you change the word film to heroin in your sentence, you do sound like an addict.
So people do work hard to make heroin.
Yeah, but no,
Yeah.
I just like
It would be a waste if I didn't shoot up on this heroin.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, they why not pay a little bit of money to watch a film?
Yeah, but it's not a little bit of money.
It's as much as it's, you know, costs. I don't dictate the cost. If people wanted to make films cheaper, I won't complain.
Okay,
You'll just buy more.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I genuinely do think not keeping up with the Arrow collection, because that is the thing that is bulking out this list so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, 300 films, that's nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it's painful as well when you get like a box set arrived last week with a trilogy in it. I just looked at that, and the trilogy was like a sequel to another box set I've got, which had like 6
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that box had like 6 films in, and I honestly have like zero desire to watch any of them. So that's just 9 films that I'd either have to actively force myself to sit through, or I could just ignore them,
Or sell them.
or
thus
or sell them.
Defeat the list.
Exactly, and now if I sell them, that's like 9 off the list.
Yeah, right there. 9 films you'll never want to watch.
Yeah, so this is why I'm thinking let's stop with the list. Like, I'm looking at the moment, right, and I can tell you that from the Arrow collection alone, my list is that there's 160 films on my list that are just Arrow films.
Wow.
The vast majority I have little desire to actually watch.
I mean, if they were gone, you'd be totally on track. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's so close. It's tantalizingly close.
yeah,
Yeah, you could do it, Liam.
I know.
I mean, it's kind of like gaming the system.
But
I mean,
that's the thing.
still like.
Oh,
Still
it's
a
definitely
positive step.
cheating. And when he does that, Lee, I'm going to tell him that doesn't count and it doesn't cut off the list. That's not true. If you sold them, I would count it off the list. I'm not that much of a dickhead.
Yeah, they would have to go off the list, but I would feel a little bit bad about it, quite frankly.
You'll live.
Fair enough.
I might not. I might get crushed under this under this bookcase of films.
That's true. What a terrible thing for me to say then, when foreshadowing your library of DVD crushing.
Yeah. It might be like, I'm just picturing now that I've sold one that's on like a top shelf. I reach up to get it, lose balance. That's it. That's me gone.
You're like Roy and Rick and Morty, the guy who gets killed at the department store.
So then Nerd on Nerd will just be Nerd.
Oh my god. Maybe, well, I mean, nerd on self.
Yeah, and it'll just be Jack just talking to himself about all the books he's read. Also, here's the other thing, right? No one's judging Jack if he like doesn't read a book or doesn't buy any books, and it's just there's a
Wait,
weird...
sorry.
Does Jack have
No
a
one's
particularly
judging me
large
if I
catalogue
don't
of
buy any
books?
books. What do you mean?
Yeah.
No one's judging me if I don't buy a book because that's good. I haven't bought a
No,
book.
but here's the
I'm not
thing.
gonna read.
No, but your books, right, are all digital, yeah, mostly
No, I've got an entire bookshelf of books next to me.
that you've read.
Yeah, I've read. Yeah, I don't buy books that I don't read. I've read every single book in my bookshelf.
Okay, but here's my question.
Most of them probably twice. To be fair.
All right, but you get a lot of them on Kindle, yeah.
Yeah.
So how many books are there on Kindle that you haven't read?
None. What
No,
are you
that's
talking
bullshit.
about?
You-
No,
you-
it isn't.
you
I
can't
finish a
have read
book. Oh wait,
every
do you mean
single
sorry?
book
Do you
on
mean in
Kindle.
Kindle's? Do you mean in the library of books I could buy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, well,
Then your list
that's
would be
like
more than
counting your
1,000.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Huh?
You're grasping at
It's
straws
like
here,
counting
Liam.
your Netflix on top of your film collection.
Yeah. No, I think that's how we should look at it.
Okay. Sure.